All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Port Royal's Budget Workshop number one. It is that time of year again when we start our budget workshops. We'll hold 3 of these, and so this just kind of kicks it off. This is our first one, starts at 5:30 every year on May 6th. We are now called to order. Up first, we do have a presentation, though, from the Low Country Regional Transportation Authority. Doing business as Palmetto Breeze. Miss Hepburn?
Well,
Oh, okay.
she's a
Miss Hepburn's here. Okay.
She's the finance director.
I
I was
understand.
the executive director
Okay.
for Palmetto Breeze for 11 years and retired.
Okay.
And then I came back.
Gotcha.
But I'm moving in 2 weeks, so
Where are you going?
North Carolina,
Okay.
where my kids are.
That'll be great. Well, good. Congratulations.
Yeah. So I'm going to go through the presentation, and I realized after going around and doing all the budget presentations this year that a lot of the boards have changed, and a lot of people don't really understand how public transportation is funded. So I don't mean to speak maybe basically, but I really want you to understand how public transportation is funded. So I'm going to do that, make sure you understand it.
If you could, what was your name?
Mary Lou.
Mary Lou. Okay, thank you.
We're here today to present our ask for match money for our federal grant for the urban north of the Broad. And so this is a lot if you don't understand how we're funded, but I'm going to talk about it. So this whole area over here was rural forever, rural funding, and we get funding from it's federal transportation funding, the FTA funding. It comes through the state of South Carolina. The rural grant funding is when I came in 2014, the whole system was rural. Then the Bluffton and Hilton Head area became urban from the 2010 census. Well, north of the Broad over here, the town of Port Royal, the city of Beaufort, and unincorporated Beaufort became an urban area after the census of 2020. So what changed then is once you become urbanized, there's money designated to urban areas. And so the FTA did designate money for this urbanized area. But then what we noticed happened this year is they reduced our rural funding because the area that was once rural over here is now urban, and that's what I was saying. So that's what's happened this year. The rural grant is decreasing, the urban amount is increasing. How that affects Port Royal is when it was rural, it was the county paid all the rural funding, okay? And it isn't until it becomes urban that we look to the municipalities that are in the urbanized area. So that's the difference, because, I mean, we haven't been here but once before. So that's what changed and why we're here. So this part, the top part, it's probably not really, it's kind of really detailed, but we're going to renumber and restructure our routes so that we have separate urban and routes from the rural routes so that we're required to do that, so that we can fund each route with the correct grant. And so this year we did kind of a percentage because we haven't separated the routes. But what's important for you to see really on this slide is that how it works. We don't make money. I don't know if people kind of think we charge a fare and that pays for it all. The fare pays 10 to 15% of the cost to operate, not counting all the overhead. So what happens is we purchase what we need to purchase very carefully, and then every month we ask for reimbursements. And so this is how we get reimbursed. And not everything we buy is grant eligible either. So there's that. But the big thing to see there, one is when we buy the vehicles, any vehicles, the grant pays 85%. And so when you first get started, it's really nice because the localities only pay 15% to buy the capital. But once you start running the buses, then the operations money, the driver's salaries, the fuel, the tires, everything to operate the bus, we only get 50% back. So that's good to keep your eye on as service starts to increase, the local match is going to go up when you're operating. And I just have to point this out because it shows up in a graph later on. But earlier this year, we got a notice and this memo that said, hey, you have grant money, $853,729 that you didn't spend. And so Christine said, wait a minute, I just closed that grant from 2021. She goes, we spent all that money. So we got on the phone with the SCDOT and find out, and I'll make it quicker, that they used to fund the grants with the oldest money. So we went and looked back at this grant to see what it was funded. It was funded with 2014 and 15 money. So the administration decided we're not going to do that anymore. It's very confusing. We're mixing all this money. We're going to just do current money. So they went back to all this money that was left. Sorry, and said that $853,729 of 2021 money was never spent. So they offered us to have it for Bluffton Hilton Head. Well, Bluffton Hilton Head, we're struggling over there with what we're operating, and I didn't see that we could go back around and say, hey, we got more money, we need more match money. So immediately said, can we transfer it? And they said, yes, but you have to make a decision today. So we transferred that over here.
Okay, go on. Good.
That was a long story.
Yeah, no.
But, and so that explains this graph. The first blue and green on the left is last year. And that money is in the bank, basically. Well, the grant is at the FTA, but your match and the group is in the bank. So that is like capital money. Then our second in the middle is this year. And why the green went up, that's the match. Why it went up is because we're having to pull operating money out at 50% instead of just capital at 85. The red is what the state gives us. They don't give us enough. And then the second grant is 2027B is that extra grant that we transferred over that we're not going to pull any operating money out. It's for capital. It's so you can buy buses for when we move to do more things over here. Then to the right, you can see the percentage of the match. And Port Royal's at like 18%. That's what we're asking for today, that $84,734 to match the grant to operate, and then the extra capital grant. The $28,000 will leverage about $1 million. This is what I get asked everywhere, because money's tight for everybody. And what I get asked is, well, how do you make money? Well, we're very limited in what we can do to make money. This year we got some new vehicles, and we actually got gifted 4 big MCI buses from the state because another operator went out of business. So we're going to sell the old vehicles, the old big MCI buses that are 06 and 07. And we're hoping to get 10,000 off of them because they have a lot of miles on them. But they had engine rehab. 10,000 each one. Okay. So that's maybe 3 to 5 vehicles. And then we sell off. We're getting a whole bunch of vans this year from SCDOT, and we're going to sell off all the old ones. We get cutaway. We get between maybe $500 if they're really crappy, up to as much as for the cutaways. 3,500 maybe, and we're going to end up selling probably at least 10 of those this year. So that helps. That isn't every year. We sell advertising and scrap metal. We do have whatever money we have in the bank, we pull interest income off of it.
And tell me about the advertising, just real quick.
Okay. We will put a direct decal on any of our buses. The new buses that we got, they're beautiful, the commuters, but right on the back, there's a big sign up top now that says, notice this ad, advertise with us. And we will direct apply stickers to the buses. And from what I understand, our marketing person is working with Novant Health for a big contract to put stuff on the buses. And that's one of the few ways we can make money is advertising, and so we do. So, and we've had different ads from Buford over here on our buses, but nothing currently.
It's the attorneys and health.
Yeah, we didn't do attorneys, but yeah, but we're not opposed. Yeah, it's just they haven't come and asked for the money to be put on. Special event transportation. We do different things, but we only do them. We're not allowed to compete with the private charter operators. That's part of how this works because our buses are subsidized, all of our costs are subsidized. The private charter operators screamed that it was no fare, and so we can't. But we can do special events for our partners, and we do that. You would be our partner because you're paying in us. Let's say, I don't know what your festivals are, but let's say you have a festival and you guys are doing it. We can provide transportation. We charge, but we charge about half of what the charters charge.
Just Fourth of July fireworks or something.
Yeah, yeah, you call over and we set up, it's a contract, but we charge, well, for a cutaway, for instance, $80 an hour instead of, what a charter operator would provide. And we'll do 2 hours. Well, they have to do the whole day.
You have trolleys.
Yeah.
You have a trolley?
We do have trolleys, and hopefully we'll have trolleys for over here, too. But we do have trolleys that are all in operation during the summer on Hilton Head. But we do have trolley buses. Fare revenue, everybody wants us just to cut the fares, and that'll give you all the money you want. And it's really a losing proposition to raise the fares, because once you raise the fares, less people will ride. And that's not what we want to do. And they don't allow the fares. FTA, you have to deduct your fares from your reimbursements. The fare cannot offset the grant. The fares pay for a lot of things that the grant doesn't pay for, but they cannot be used to offset the grant. So we do get fares. But I don't think raising the fares is the answer to the finances on the transit system. There you go. Any questions?
Employer contributions for the riders, with all these riders that's coming from Colleton and Hampton counties and so forth. How much do the employers outside of the town of Hilton Head or Bluffton contribute?
There are no employers that pay us money.
And all these people are benefiting them coming from these areas.
Some of the employers buy tickets for their employees. It's a $4 ride from Walterboro or from Hampton County.
Allendale, Fairfax.
Yeah, it's $3.50 out in Allendale. But at one time, one way.
Yeah, it's still.
But you look who's riding, and they're the landscapers and the housekeepers and folks that are riding that hour and 15 or hour and a half because they get jobs here that have benefits, that have a better pay, that support their families. And because we've been to Colleton to talk, and the riders came up and said because they didn't want to bust their workers out of the county, and they stood up and said, you don't have what we can get in Hilton Head, and that's why we ride the bus. And so,
Next question is, you said when we were considered or classified as a rural area, the county funded.
that's right.
Now we've been classified as urban. You're asking the municipalities now. What is that variance or difference in the cost from urban versus rural?
I can't do math like that, but I will tell you that
Is it more or less? You don't know. Because if the county
I
was
can't
running-
put the
we
two
don't
things
have-
together.
We don't have the purse that the county has.
I understand that.
And if we're asked to fork out more than what the county was doing, and when our
Oh, no,
budget-
no,
we have
no,
the
it's not
smallest
that at
budget.
all. The county has passed $1 million at this point, and what I've said to them and to anybody is we've really reached a tipping point, because for a long time, they only paid the rural, which was less. Then they paid the rural in the southern urban. Now they're paying the rural in 2 urbans, and it's a lot. And the state of South Carolina only allows 2 ways to fund transit, besides what we're doing, the grant and the local match, and that is sales tax and property tax.
So also your place, you're registered as a regional government vehicle.
We're a regional transportation
Where does that
authority.
funding come from?
Excuse
Where
me?
does that funding come from? Source? To be classified as a regional government?
The Beaufort Jasper Water has the ability to tax. So that authority actually can tax for its money. We don't have the authority to tax.
I just noticed that you have government plates.
We have government plates, we're called an authority. It's the way South Carolina set up the transportation in 1975, and they're all authorities.
Okay.
And a lot of them are multi-county.
Okay, and the last thing, I think you did cover, so our ridership population is 18.84% for Port Royal?
It's for the urbanized area, north of the
Oh, that's
Broad.
the urbanized area,
Just the
not-
urbanized area north of the Broad.
So you don't know how many we have actually riders in Port Royal?
Those aren't riders, that's the population.
Oh, Okay.
That's the
So that's-
population.
Well, that's my question. Do you know what percentage of riders actually ride from Port Royal?
We did not calculate that, but what's going to happen is once we separate and then we have a route called 702, it's all urban. Okay, we'll call that urban. Next year, we'll come back and we'll be able to say, in the urbanized area, north of the Broad, we rode, this many people rode. But right now, we're still separating the two services.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the 18.84. I thought you had, that was actual, the percentage of riders in the
No.
Port Royal jurisdiction.
No, we're still trying to get it all separated and categorized and renamed because they're urban routes.
Okay.
Just a quick, when the southern part of the county was declared urbanized, were Hilton Head and Bluffton making appropriation, or was the county picking that up also?
No, once they were urbanized, just like here, there was a resolution that was signed that said, we are the people in the municipal area and we
Right.
want this transportation and I think y'all signed it too, for just your area, the urban area. It is the way of the future. I know it's painful.
Well, the challenge for us, and I'll be honest with you, even on let me go back. That 64.06% of Devoted Incorporated Beaufort County, our people will pay that also. Port Royal residents will pay.
Because we're Beaufort County taxpayers.
Right.
Right, so they're
So we're
being
double-
taxed
we're getting
twice.
double tax.
We'll pay for that,
Twice.
and then we'll pay for this.
So we're
Well-
being taxed twice.
Yes and no. That's coming out of it's coming out of their general fund for the whole
Exactly.
county.
We are
Right.
full share taxpayers.
Yeah.
We don't get any deduction
I get
because we're
that.
in the
From the
municipality.
county, right.
So that's just something.
Well, I'm hoping,
Yeah.
because the word millage was brought up, not in front of council, in front of a council now,
Yeah.
as a discussion point during one of the meetings with North of the Broad, saying, what is it going to take to make this transportation happen north of the Broad?
Right.
And I think that's what it really will take.
Yeah, because, right now, obviously, you probably read the paper about
did.
what's happening with us.
Yeah, I'm sad.
Yeah, so that, and then, you look at it, 113 is about $1.5 million of ours.
Yeah.
The county, it might be point whatever, a mil, and then we are county taxpayers. I mean, I'm certainly in favor of mass transit, but I do think this is a countywide service
Yeah.
and should be funded, because we would still be participating.
I would love to
financially.
see that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We are.
that's,
And, our board chair had a thought, and maybe this will come to fruition at some point soon, to bring all the elected folks together that are in these areas that are struggling with this whole concept and have these discussions to say, what do we want to do? Everybody wants to transit, but we're coming out of your general funds. And, what's the solution? And it has to be a long-term solution. I mean, I drive these roads. Public transit could ease that, but not with just a drop in the bucket. You need park and ride lots. You need facilities. You need bus shelters, pull-offs. I mean, the whole area over here to make it safe and to make it something that people would use instead of cars.
I don't even know where people get onto the bus over here. I don't
Parker's,
see.
I think,
They
is a
stop in the middle of the road.
location.
They do.
They
Yeah.
stop in the middle of the highway.
So-
Well, one of the things that's evaluated in the VA application was proximity to a stop, and I think it was identified that Parker's was the location nearest the VA.
If you look on our website and you pick up one of the routes, they'll tell you all the times and where they stop. But at one point, maybe 5 years ago, I was ready to change the service over here, and I came over to see about doing a route to do the loop. And basically, you can't really do transit like they do regular around here, or we're all going to die. I mean, because people drive like maniacs. There's no pull-offs. So at that point, we shifted back, and even as we change now, what happens now is they go into where the Sonic is. They go into the Family Dollar. They go into, and there's a reason that we do that, and we're probably going to keep doing that until we have bus pull-offs. But folks that ride the bus, they all know where to catch us. They know how to call us. We have tablets in all the vehicles that push trips back and forth.
I've
And
seen your routes, so
Yeah,
we
we're-
do publish
we-
the routes, yeah.
yeah, we do. We're pretty up to speed with what we do.
How is ridership demand?
It fluctuates. I was gonna say, it used to be, we brought a lot of people in from the outside counties, not as many. It's bouncing up a little bit more, maybe there's more people out there. And summertime comes, our riders go up. The first probably 5 or 7 years I was here, we had to add extra buses in the summer.
And those are, because you have a lot of unemployed school district employees.
That's what we
working
had,
through the
yeah.
summer.
And we vow for the people coming from outside the counties, the long rides, that if they're having to stand, we'll put another bus out. You know, we're also struggling with CDL bus drivers, and the worst ever. We had probably 3 or 4 employees leave to go to higher paying CDL jobs. And so we're struggling. I've got staff driving, and it's rough. And that's the pay. The school, but we used to be pretty even, and they give them credit for all the hours they drive, so they can pay $5 or $10 more an hour, and they're gone. And it's hard.
come out
It's
of
hard.
For me?
Yeah.
I'm not retired.
No, with the bus driver.
But I know exactly, we in the school district used to deal with the same thing.
We go back and forth,
It's very, yeah.
and
having
yeah,
a CDL.
it's challenging.
And who rides the Breeze? What's your rider look like?
I would say if I had to pick in general, it's a mix. Like if you look over at Hilton Head, you're going to see a lot of locals are riding our trolley as well as visitors.
Okay.
We also go door to door for anybody. They call us in advance, and I need to go to dialysis. I have to go to the doctor. So we cover all of that. Then you have folks going to work. And a lot of people are maybe folks that have one car and 3 different people going to different places, and so it's your lower income. We don't have a huge amount of choice riders where somebody chooses to park in the park and ride, because we don't have that, and get on the bus that takes them straight to their job, and we
Bluffton
don't.
has a free, does it still have that free shuttle that they pay for, the town of Bluffton?
It's $1 a ride. Yeah.
For the folks who go shopping and all that stuff.
We run the Bluffton Parkway and out to USCB and TCL, and we do a loop like that every day, but it's $1 a ride.
And you mentioned earlier the state allocation's pretty much non-existent, or is it?
I have talking points I could send to you.
Okay.
We have a Transportation Association of South Carolina that's been working for 3 to 4 years now, trying to push the elected folks to help them understand that the state has never upped their state funding. That when they started the system, when they started giving money out in probably the late 70s, there were 7 systems. They gave $6 million. We have 34 systems in the state of South Carolina, and they give $6 million. And so we're campaigning. I got talking points, and they're lower than any state around us. I don't know why they don't value public transportation, but we're trying. We're
Yeah.
trying to move the needle.
Is that money at the state level, is that allocated by size? Is it
It's a formula
It's a
program,
formula,
and they look at
ridership? And
So Charleston
Miles
PD
you run,
Charleston
all of
PD
that.
probably gets most of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, people get more than we do.
The Charleston and PD area.
So they just really haven't increased that since they started this program and just really haven't increased?
Yeah, and any other state I've worked, well, let's say that 50% operating money, typically everywhere I've ever worked, the locality would pay 25 and the state would pay 25. So they matched all our match, and so they gave a lot more money to public transit. And here, I think they're giving about 11%.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty low.
Yeah. No,
And so we're working on them, we're trying, I get my talking points out, but every system in the state is also working with their folks to try to get the elected officials to understand the
systems
issue.
are there now?
34.
34, gotcha. No, I mean, it makes sense. South Carolina is the fastest growing state in the country, so, I mean, that demand's only going to
Well,
become
and
more.
because all these folks are coming, they need resource. They didn't bring their resources, so here we are.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Got any questions, Councilman?
Nope.
Thank you.
Anything else from council? Okay.
And I know y'all are in this position, but we do really appreciate the support of public transit, and this is just a blip, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope.
Me too.
Yeah.
So, well,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. Absolutely. Thanks for being here.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
guys.
Yeah,
We try.
absolutely. Yes, ma'am. No, it's we've talked about it before, it's a bigger conversation as more and more people move here, and a lot of them are retirees.
Right.
And you need working people to work the restaurant, work the services, be the nurses, be the, do all those jobs, and how do you get them around, so. Okay, all right. Up next, we always start off our budget workshop with some of the best, right? We got fire department and police department tonight. I'll let you guys. Yeah, well, I was gonna say that again.
That's next week.
I say it to everybody. So, all right, yes, sir.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us here tonight. For the budget this year, overall, we tried to keep it pretty tight. We knew going into this year's budget that we were going to see an increase in salaries and benefits because as part of the city, we did a compensation study last year and finally increased our salaries where we're more competitive now with not just the firefighter level, but the firefighter, EMT, advanced, and paramedic levels. So we're actually paying them and comparable to what firefighter paramedics make throughout the county and throughout other agencies in the state. So that was our biggest increase this year. You see is salary and benefits. And on the benefit side, there's also a insurance, health insurance increase that the city absorbed. So the employees are not seeing any increase this year. So that's included in that benefit increase. The next item is our new ladder truck. It's pretty and it works great, but it comes at a cost. So this year is our first payment on that truck, and the split between city and Port Royal, we do the same ratio as we do all the other financial splits. The payment for the Port Royal portion is the $32,423.
And that's with down payment money.
We did put a couple of down payments down on it initially, and another one later on in the process through impact fees that brought that total down that we needed to finance ultimately. So that's why that's a little lower than even some of the other trucks we bought because we didn't put any money down on those. Operations, the only increases you see are increases just because of cost of services or material. We're not asking for anything new and additional this year. It's just the software, maintenance, uniforms, gear, medical supplies, the cost of everything has just went up, and that's our anticipated increase to manage that operationally this year. The next two items don't really affect Port Royal, but they're good conversation pieces. I know you're familiar with us trying to co-locate EMS in our fire station, so we've been trying for a couple years now to do a remodel at Station 1 and join Beaufort County EMS and have them come into station with us. But we're at a point now where we have our needs, our demands, our repairs that we need to move forward on with that station. So we're funding that this year out of TIF 2. If Beaufort County wants to come on board and still do the addition, we're on board and hope to support that. But regardless, we have our needs that we need to move forward with. And the last item is the Ladies Island contract. Again, that's the city has city annex property on Ladies Island that we are in contract with currently with Ladies Island. That's continually increasing year after year because of the terms of the contract. We paid over $500,000 this past year for them to respond to 349 calls. So we just feel like we're paying way too much for the service based on the call volume over there. So we're going to try to renegotiate that contract on the city side. And you've heard me say it before. My goal is an automatic aid agreement where we do service for service. We do in-kind service. You respond to property on the city, and we'll send a fire truck anywhere on St. Helena that you have a fire to help you with in return. That's my goal. So that's what we're working toward to get that in place.
Is that 515, is that like a flat rate stuff, or is it per call or volume?
That's actually based on a percentage of the millage rate that the fire district would have collected on the property that has been annexed. And so they collect 80% of their millage rate on every parcel that's annexed in the city of Beaufort that's on Ladies Island. So the more the property value goes up, the more we annex, the more that number goes up.
And that's indefinite, or does that have like a deadline on it?
The contract is actually expired, but it's, you can't end it without providing one party or each party a year's notice. So we haven't done that yet. We haven't said, we're giving you notice, we're going to renegotiate the contract, but that's my push for this year is that we take that step and say, we need to renegotiate this. So we're going to give you 1 year's notice, and now we're going to come back to the table together. And again, my goal is to ultimately get to an automatic aid agreement. We don't have to do that year one, but maybe we gradually reduce what we pay over a couple years to ultimately get to that automatic aid.
Do they calculate that payment in their budget request?
This year, they actually did their budget request yesterday, and $500,000 was in there on the city contract this year.
So an example of this area, Ladies Island area, that would be like the Walmart, Beaufort High School, something like that in that section, that's incorporated in the city limits?
Yes, like Publix, Walmart,
Right.
there's a few subdivisions.
Harris Teeter.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in the city.
Okay.
The roadways are typically not, so that's why the call volume is a little less, because if there's a wreck in front of Publix and it's in the road, that's actually
Like yesterday.
unincorporated areas,
Like
not,
yesterday.
yeah,
You said how many calls was it?
349.
Oh, it's every day.
What's that?
I mean, that's almost every day.
For us, over here, we had
Flipped on the side yesterday.
over
So it's about
500,
$1,200, $1,300 a call.
Yeah.
we had over 500 calls this past month,
Yeah.
just, for us.
How much?
About $1,200.
Yeah, 1,300 maybe.
That's what I heard, yeah. How's that, your plan for the one-for-one, how's that being perceived?
Well, you think about it from their point of view, they're getting paid to do it now. So that's what they want to continue to do. So that's kind of been their stance, but, yeah.
Okay.
Next is the overall budget numbers. You see on the far right is the 2027 recommended budget. A couple items I want to point out. We talked about personnel benefits, operating capital. You see there's a big decrease from FY '26. It was 1.2 million to now 48,000. That's only because that ladder truck was budgeted last year. If you remember, the city budgeted the whole amount that was going to be financed in our capital. So that came out because that truck had been financed out. So the big difference you see there is that fire truck. We're not really reducing capital by over $1 million.
Is this you coming here asking for $900,000 less?
That's what it looks like, but
Okay.
most of that,
I thought, I'm doing infantry
Yeah.
math right now then.
most of that is that ladder truck.
Got it.
So it was inflated last
I'm
year
like,
more
what
than
is
what,
this?
more than what it should have been because of that purchase.
Got it. I was curious
Yeah.
about that as I was looking over the package this week, and I saw what, like, our capital stuff was 48. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Totally forgot.
I
about
wish
the
I was
fire truck.
saving, everybody that much money, but that's not necessarily the case.
But nonetheless, it looks like it.
You're
I
right,
appreciate
it
you.
does.
You got me for
And
2
the debt
days.
moved out too, that next line item, the city decided to move debt, which is, for us, is our fire truck payments, to a different account. So it's not reflected directly in our budget. It's still, the payment and the math is still the same as the split we do between Beaufort and Port Royal. It's just not reflected in the budget. So that came out too, so that's why it looks different too.
Do you mind if I ask where that resides now?
It's just a different account in the city, so they consolidated all the debt instead of it coming out of each department,
Got
whether
it.
it be a dump truck or a fire truck or
Okay.
whatever else. Now it's in one consolidated account for debt services citywide. So next is a graph that kind of depicts those same numbers. So you see in the yellow that decrease like we were just talking about, that's reflective of that ladder truck. And our final numbers are split between Beaufort and Port Royal. The town is the 3.4 million and the city's the 4.6 million. Our percentage rate stayed the same again this year. The rooftops kind of mirrored each other, when the cities increased, Port Royal's increased, so the overall number, the ratio stayed about the
We're
same
hoping
this
that
year.
moratorium would, make a difference.
I know. It hasn't went down in Port Royal's favor in ever, I believe.
What-
It's only
what's
went
up?
up.
You got 4,000 Margaret Street? Come on now.
I know.
How does, with the rooftop count, how does that, just so everyone's aware, like, how's that calculated with the commercials? Like, what's a
A rooftop
what's
is a rooftop, so.
So a Walmart is one
one.
rooftop. Okay.
And the apartment complex, the building is one roof.
So it's how many in building, it doesn't matter how many
Right.
doors, it doesn't matter how many doors are under that
Right,
rooftop.
it's just that rooftop, so.
Okay, wow,
That's
yeah.
good.
Which, again, like I said before, this ratio really does benefit Port Royal, because if you try to compare it any other way, population, call volume, use any other math, it's about 50-50, it's about even. This is a little better. And we did that on purpose, because, I mean, again, Walmart, we have two in the city, and Port Royal doesn't have, that type of development, so it doesn't have that type of revenue. So this is, to me, the best way to do it, for those reasons.
What was
That's-
that, what do you think that, by percentage, that salary increase was for your folks?
It varied. We had anywhere from 3% to 12%. depending on the employee certification level. Like the paramedics seen the greatest increase. We have 11 of those now. So somewhere on average between 3 and 12% increase overall. Any other questions?
Anything from council?
No.
Okay, y'all good?
I like her.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Didn't hurt us too bad.
Pulled a quick one on me, Chief. I was excited there for a minute.
Well, it's still pretty good, we're all right.
That's what I said.
I mean, it was
That
great.
wasn't too
I was
bad.
like, man, I'm doing math in public right for once, and no, you told me I was wrong.
I want to thank the chief for giving us $900,000 in our budget that we weren't counting on. He's a good man. All right, evening, everybody.
Now you
Yes,
want
sir.
you want a helicopter.
Not
No,
yet.
actually, out of respect for what the town's going through with with those things that are going on in Preserve and other places, what we really did, we're working a lot with Chris and the town administration, Finance Director Kennedy, and we've really slashed our budget to the bare bones. Because really what we need to concentrate on, what I see as the biggest problem is salaries. We are way behind the market. If you want to, or do I flip to the next slide? Lisa told me, but I forgot already. Currently, with our local departments, we are 5th out of the 5 that we polled, and we have all the pay scales for. Yeah, Beaufort is the highest, and that's really our main competitor. What you can see is retention is the biggest problem. Since I've been here in the 18 months, I believe that I've been here, besides retirements, we've lost 5 officers, 2 were terminations, 3 went to other departments, and they went to one of them that's on that list. Beaufort PD, as you can see, is the largest. Then it comes Bluffton, and BCSO is our 3rd competitor in the big gaps. What's crazy about the gaps is for Beaufort, our average salary difference from the minute you get sworn in to chief of police is between 12 and 40% salary gap. With Bluffton, it's 7 to 45% salary gap, and with BCSO, it's 9 to 11% salary gap. So as you can see, the gaps are pretty substantial. And when you break that out down into dollars, it's actually, when you get past the patrolman level and get into corporal, you're not just talking $2,000 or $3,000 gap between rank, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars. The starting salary for a captain in Bluffton or Beaufort is about $12,000 on the average, higher than the starting salary for our captains, and includes staff sergeants. If you notice where the biggest gaps are in command and a supervisor level. Command is considered lieutenant through chief, which would include the captains. Supervisors are considered the sergeants and staff sergeants, and then patrol is corporals and PFCs. For Beaufort, the command average salary difference is 20 to 40%. Bluffton is 29 to 48%. BCSO is 8 to 11%, and Hardyville is 11 to 32%. In the patrol categories, Beaufort PD has a higher salary of between 12 and 16%. Bluffton is between 5 and 20%. BCSO is average of 9% across the board. Hardyville is about 5 to 10%. When you get to the supervisor gap, which is the one I'm really most concerned about because that's where you have your 5, 6, 7-year people. Those are the ones we have hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in. If they go someplace, we are really hurting. You're looking at 7, 8, 9 years to get those people back up to speed and hundreds of thousands of dollars in training and salaries. Supervisor level, you're looking at Beaufort as a gap of about 15 to 22%. Bluffton's an average of about 20%. Sheriff's Department's about 9%, and Hardyville's about 11% difference. The big issues with this is turnover. Officers, by leaving, can gain instantly between a $10,000 and a $60,000 pay raise. That's nothing to sneeze at. Now, obviously, 60 grand is at the high end. That's if you're making tops. Reality, it is about 15 to 20 grand where they could easily make it by going someplace else. And the other departments are recruiting. It's a real thing. Those salaries that I showed you too and that I've talked about also do not include what every department has, the 3%, 5%, and 7% increases over base salary for college education. They all have that. We do not offer it at this point. There's a higher risk among mid-career and supervisors, and again, those are the ones that we have the most money, the most time invested in. They're the ones out there making the decisions. we would really lose experience and institutional knowledge. We also have a hiring disadvantage. We have a smaller applicant pool. When you're looking on the websites, starting salaries were pretty good. We're within 5,000 of the highest other department. Problem is, once you get hired, once you get through the academy, that's where we lose them. We just don't keep up. We're less competitive with nearby agencies. What this also does is it really creates overtime. Last year, we're in the scale to spend about $100,000 this year in overtime. The reason being is we're running 2 to 3 man shifts. We have to backfill those shifts if somebody goes on vacation or somebody goes on training. What I said from day one here, and you guys have been very generous with upping our training budget, is we're sending people to schools that they should have been going 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. We're playing catch up. But when we send somebody to school, not only does it cost to send them to school, for the travel, for the class itself, we have to pay overtime to backfill those shifts. So without having the lower officers getting them in here to hire, we have to pay overtime rather than pay somebody, the $60,000 starting salary. We have to pay somebody at a higher salary to backfill those shifts. Replacement costs an officer, if somebody does leave, and this is just for a basic officer, you're looking about 50 to 80 grand to replace somebody. It also, overtime and training inefficiencies come to play, and really just retaining the officers is the biggest thing. Like I said, as far as the budget goes, we're really working with everybody to try and cut the budget as low as we possibly can. Luckily this year, or this past budget year, we were able to make a big advance on the uniforms, equipment. We had a lot of catching up to do in equipment. Some of the cars had to be refitted because the lights weren't up to par with safety regulations. So we had to strip out those lights, have a professional reinstall the good lights, or actually the legal lights. We got through a lot of training this year. We made the promotions and put people where they should be. So we got equipment that should have been in cars several years ago. We really made up a lot in the year, and it's thanks to all of you. You've invested a lot in the police department. So I feel comfortable enough where we've got a solid foundation. Our vehicles are good, our equipment's good, our training budget is where we should be. If we can keep that, bump it up a little bit, we'll be okay. So it really asks for anything else besides the next page, which I'm going to show you are some mandatory things we have to get. Working with Chris, and with the finance director and the town manager, to really cut the budget and try to move that money into salaries, because that's where we're going to have a problem. What I'm asking for is a 10% pay increase across the board, and I've got the figures for you. And what that does, that 10%, when we look at the statistics, that doesn't even get us close. So my fear is if we don't get anything close to that, we're going to be falling so far behind that I don't know how the town is going to catch up. I really don't. And that's just the market today for law enforcement. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying I agree with it. That's what it goes. Nobody wants the job anymore. It's hard to get people in. And you see federal agencies, some are offering $60,000 sign-on bonuses. Now, obviously, I think that's ridiculous. And sometimes we're our own worst enemy competing against each other, but that's just kind of what the market's dictating. With a 10% increase, we're still going to be behind. What that will do is that will close the gaps, and I've got the numbers here. For instance, if we were to get a 10% increase, we would close the gap to between 5 and 34% of Beaufort PD. Now, that's without them getting an increase. And word on the street is they're getting a very large increase this year, and so is the Sheriff's Department. So without getting that 10%, you can imagine how big that gap is going to be. So that's just with the 10%. On a positive note, now that I'm all doom and gloom, again, working with the finance director, we are cutting, we're looking at different things. We did get ballpark figure about $450,000 to $500,000 in grants, strictly for salaries. So that pays for 5 of our full-time officers. That's the 4 SROs and our 1 traffic officer. This coming budget year, that money was calculated into our budget. And if I'm misspeaking, please don't hesitate to jump in and let me know that I'm off base, but it was figured into that. So even though the number for that 10% increase is large, it will be offset by those grants. So it's not as large as it seems to be on paper. Hello. So with figures coming in initially, the 10% pay increase with benefits, it's in the ballpark of about a $500,000 increase to our budget. And I say that we also have $400,000 ballpark offsetting with grants. So I'm working with the finance director. He's working to figure out exactly what the numbers are and what they're going to be, but that's kind of the direction that we're looking
So
at.
again, 500K increase to budget and 400,
400,000 is going to offset some of that in grants is what we're looking at. We can get the final numbers later. So when I say it's a huge increase, it is, but not as bad as it looks because a lot of the grants were figured into the budget amount when it came out.
Is there a sunset on the grants?
A grant could be pulled off at any time. Now, honestly, the biggest one is the SRO grant. I don't see that going anywhere, but it could. You never know. That they could come in, they're year-long grants, they could come in next year and say, you don't get it. You don't get it. And then really, the council administration would have to decide, what do we do with those officers? Do we continue to fund those officers, or do we not put officers into school? What do we do? But yes, that's very real. They could come in tomorrow and say it. Now, again, I don't see it going anywhere, but it could happen tomorrow. So with that wonderful news, any questions?
I do, Chief. I got a couple. I got three.
Yeah.
What is the talent gap in our surrounding agencies that we compete with at those levels that you're concerned with? So when a supervisor moves, there's a lot of risk that he or she's assuming too. Going to a new department, having to learn new stuff.
Sure.
So there's going to be just a natural lag in that department. So everybody assumes risk there.
Yes.
What is that gap that we're seeing, that we're that concerned, that we're saying there's this pay gap specifically at the supervisor level that we're concerned with? And are they and have they, again, we know inside the ranks that they're talking about, well, Bluffton's going to get a pay raise, I won't go there. I mean, is
Yeah,
that
first of all, let me say, no, nobody that I know of is saying, if I don't get a pay raise, I'm leaving. People seem extremely happy. Now, that's, I don't know really what's going on. I like to think I do. Everybody's very happy. They love the council. Like I said, the biggest thing in my career I've seen is a favorable council, a great town manager to work with. It's wonderful. Nobody is saying that. What I'm afraid of is, we are noticing that in our applicant pool. Right now, we only have 3 in the pipeline, and honestly, they're not the caliber candidates that you want working here. I can fill the ranks. We're allocated for 35 officers. I can put 35 officers on the street, but they're not going to be the officers you want.
Yeah, I'm more concerned with, again, where you say, I agree with you.
Oh, yeah, I'm
with the
sorry.
supervisor level and what our risk really is there if there's an immediate need in this area for more. I know Beaufort County Sheriff's has all supervisors, because I never see a patrol. So they're all somewhere, and they all drive F-150s, right? So that's kind of how that is. My concern is that if we do have that gap in a real near municipality, that they need 3 supervisors to be able to operate, because they're in overtime like we are, but at the supervisory level, then yes, that's a concern for us, right? We
Yes.
gotta plug the gap.
Yes.
Does that exist around us?
Do we have a supervisory gap?
Right, in the competing municipalities here, that is a real.
No, they're pretty well filled. What I can say is, again, what I'm competing with is Beaufort is basically the same size as Port Royal. We run about the same amount of calls for service. There's really not much difference. We're doing the same with 2 to 3 officers on the road. They have 3 times that many. They have a 50-man department. We have 27. So our officers are handling twice as many calls. My administrative staff, if you know, Captain McCowan's a great example. Not only is he a captain and is running the Detective Bureau, evidence, so much other, he's also running body cameras. He's running IT departments. He's running the citywide camera systems along with Brooke and Lisa and a couple other people. He's wearing 30 hats, where if he were to go to Beaufort, please don't, they've got a single person to run every single different department. So my supervisors are really running thin and they're running ragged. They're doing multiple things that really they shouldn't be doing. And it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. We're a smaller department, and I'm okay with that. But it'd be hard to argue with somebody who wants to leave, to go someplace and do, be able to concentrate on one task, the task at hand. So those are some of the things that we're kind of competing with. And again, nobody is saying they want to leave or anything like that. Please don't take that.
Right.
I'm just trying to illustrate, I believe we have an issue here and that we're going to need to address. At some point, it's going to need to be addressed, and if we push it off to later, that gap is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
So when we speak about a smaller applicant pool, we're talking about entry level, and
Yes.
how is our applicant pool smaller than other municipalities? Is it directly affected by the salary?
Yes.
Is that what makes our applicant pool smaller?
Yes, salary, and really it's attractive to go to a larger department. Again, you have, okay, I can go to Beaufort PD and I can have 5 men on a shift. Now, I'm just guessing, I don't know what they run on a shift, but just listening on the radio and seeing their board, it's about 5 to 7 officers on a shift. So if I want to take an hour off, I can take an hour off. If I want to take a day off, I can take a day off. Port Royal, we have 2, hopefully 3 running shift. You're not getting that day off. The only way you're getting that day off, unfortunately, is if you call in sick, and then we got to backfill it with overtime, because we don't have the manpower. So to go there as an entry-level police officer, it's very attractive, besides the pay.
I have a word for that, but I'm gonna keep it to myself. And then finally, what did we see as far as retention last year? When we implemented all the new benefits that we kind of approved in last year's budget, to the equipment, to everything that we gave, the education stuff, the raise and all that. What and how did that help our retention, or did it not? Did we see officers leave?
I think it did. Again, speaking to the officers and what I hear from everybody on the street, and I have meetings with the officers for them to talk openly, I think they're very happy. Very happy. Everybody has noticed the equipment. The training is the big one. Everybody noticed the increased training. The cars, everything. The whole atmosphere around the police department is completely different. Everybody's very happy. Retention-wise, like I said, 3 did go to other departments, 2 were terminated. And when a new chief comes in, you're gonna have turnover. And honestly, I kind of think when I look at the officers, not great officers, but probably not 3 that I would have hired. So those things happen. You either get along with the program or you move on. I don't necessarily think it was I'm not getting paid enough or anything like that.
Awesome. That's all I got, Chief. Thanks.
The one, not the terminated, but the one that just went to another department, where'd he go?
2 went to Hardyville and 1 went to the state.
The one that was not terminated, where'd they go? Because didn't you say 2 were terminated?
2 were terminated, yeah,
So the
3
one-
went to other departments.
Oh, 3, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Got it.
Yeah.
And what positions were they, what rank were they at?
Corporals,
They were
corporals and
corporals.
PFCs.
Gotcha. And you
Yeah.
mentioned, just so I know, just so I understand better, you said that, kind of right out the gate hiring, we're pretty close, like entry level. But then after they go to,
Academy.
and they get back from that, then at that point, that's when we start to lose them.
We lose them right around a 2-year mark.
Okay, what usually happens around then? What's the natural life cycle of a police officer? They get hired, academy,
Honestly,
what's happening
and
at 2
if
years?
I'm going to speak freely,
Yeah.
we have the reputation to be a department of last resort.
Okay,
If you can't get hired anyplace else, go to Port Royal to hire you. We are not that anymore, and I don't think that's the department that this council or the town manager or anybody wants. We have great officers.
Yeah.
The officers that are there are top-notch. So what happens is, if you can't get in or you want a quick hire, and it goes everywhere, you kind of go to the department where you think personally you'll get hired easier. A Bluffton, maybe you know somebody at Bluffton. Okay, I can get in there quicker. Sheriff's Department, oh, man, I know somebody at Sheriff's Department, I'll go there. Beaufort, anywhere. Then you get that 2 years in, and then you start learning the other departments. Oh, this department has that. This department has that. That department pays $10,000 more, and I don't have to work as hard. So then you start going there. So you really have to make not only the culture acceptable, you got to be somewhat competitive with the pay. God bless you.
gotcha. So you just kind of, because I've never been in law enforcement, so you said you kind of just get in where you fit in right out the gate, and then once you get in, you kind of start feeling out. You talk to your friends that are over here, you talk to your friends, you start hearing, and then around that 2-year mark.
Yeah, and it's
you
not
make a
always based
decision.
on one thing. It could be, you could go to a department that's making less, but maybe you just, all your friends are there, or you like a smaller department, or you like a bigger department.
You want to move.
Yeah, you want to move. It just really
A
doesn't
lot of, I'm
matter.
sure some of it depends on what's going on in that officer's life at that time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes, a spouse moves.
Yeah.
They may move down to Bluffton, and you want to drive 45 minutes every day,
Gotcha.
you go there. But, and this is relatively new to in the last 10 years over my career. You've never seen officers jump like that. And it's not just here, though. It's in the whole country. So every department is trying to make it as attractive as possible to keep the officers there, because there's not,
That loyalty.
Yeah, that loyalty there. just isn't there.
So, I got you. So it used to be you got on with one department and that was your,
Yeah, usually it's a 30-year career
That
in
was
one
your crew,
department, that
yeah.
was it. But you just don't see, and like I said, it's everywhere. It's not just here.
I think that's that's probably not just police department, but cultural
Yeah, it's
difference in people.
generational.
Yeah, that's just a different.
And again, as a chief, we're our own worst enemy.
Yeah.
Because, we're all competing for the same pool.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, you have this, you have that, you have that, we got this.
And you said right now you got
Against each other.
27,
27.
and what's 35's kind of,
35 is the number for our population is now. Now, I believe there's 1,700 or close to occupancies coming in, residents coming in the next couple of years.
Okay.
Average 2.2, I believe, is a national average for heads in a residence. You're looking about an extra 3,500 to 4,000 residents. Officers, 2.3 to 2.7 officers per 1,000 capita. So you're looking at an extra 12 officers to handle statistically that call volume when those residents are filled.
Let's not forget, part of our population is captive. Hairstyle.
you're talking about.
Oh.
yeah.
Is that part in the 16,000?
Yes.
Now that I didn't know. I was
I figured
educated
that
today.
out.
I did not know that. Although,
Although they do get out.
I was going to say, we do have
Wrinkle
some
out.
issues.
Marines,
short
not
leash.
Marines.
Give a leash, pretty short one, but they get one.
Yes.
Marines are angels, come on.
So what I'm concerned about is that we haven't seen our ranks increase, the numbers, since I've been here, which we should. We did completely revamp our hiring practices, so it's a lot stricter, much more thorough background, much more rigorous process. The qualifications are a lot higher. But it's still not where I'm happy with. We should be gaining on there, and we're staying even.
Gotcha. And I can tell you, I've personally witnessed just less turnover since you've been standing in front of us. And I think I hear from people all the time the great job that our police department does. So I think
Thank
it
you.
shows in that training and the leadership that you guys
Thank you.
provide
Well,
them. So
and also, and please don't make this as doom and gloom. Look, the perception I have from the officers is they are very happy.
Yeah.
Nobody is saying like, I'm gonna leave, whatever. They love it. And it's really because all of you have been so gracious. They love the cars. The equipment has been great. I mean, it's just, in my mind, it's kind of basic equipment that these officers need to do their job, but they're getting it, and it works, and it's dependable. And they're just really happy.
yeah,
Really, really
I don't think
happy.
anything you're bringing up is not personality based or negative. It's just the
No.
numbers. They are what they are. And
Yeah.
this department's offering that, and this department's offering that, and this is the call. I mean, it's just these are just facts on the ground. This isn't
Yeah.
anything, like you said, personal about.
No, and it's just today's society.
It just
And I
is what
don't-
it is.
And I don't get the impression, if a big bump isn't there, we're gonna have a mass exodus. I honestly don't. I would be shocked if that happened. I'm just bringing it to everybody's attention that this is what we're gonna try to do if we can make the numbers work, because it is needed. It is really, really needed. And I understand, with everything that's going on, that's out of our control, there's some money issues right now.
And I appreciate you just being, like I said, forward thinking like that. So.
Oh, I did have one more slide to add a little insult to injury. Some must-haves that we have to do. Like I said, we're really trying to trim the budget as much as we possibly can. We do need to purchase, and we have purchased, a new record management system. That's about a $60,000 hit to the budget this year. For a ballpark of $40,000 to get going, and a reoccurring cost of about $20,000. We had no choice. LawTrack went out of business, so basically every agency that had LawTrack in the state is going through the exact same thing. With that, we are absorbing the courts system. I believe that was about $3,000 or $4,000 that the court would put in. We're absorbing that into our budget, so that would take away from there. We are putting on, or we have put on, the prosecutors, also our legal advisor. That's a $40,000 a year ticket. That, again, is a must-have. We need it. That's going to keep us out of the lawsuits. That's going to keep our training up to date. And again, usually, in my experience, that's paid out of court budgets. But that's going to come out of our budget.
That's
So
good.
when you see that increase, that's part of it, too.
And I imagine that gives your officers more time, too, having that prosecutor.
No, they still have to be there.
Okay, gotcha.
They still have to be there.
They
South
gotta be
Carolina is
there.
one of only 2 states in the nation that prosecute their own cases.
Well, he's gotta be there,
Police
okay.
officers. So what we do is we triage the cases, because when you break it down, he's only making about $3,000 a month.
The officer
So
sits
it's not a
second
whole
chair.
lot.
I got you.
Yes, it's second chair.
Sits
We
second
try to
chair
break
to
it
the
down,
lawyer.
like when the court comes up with what cases are going to jury trial,
Mm-hmm.
my captains sit down and break it down and say, okay, which ones are the more complicated cases?
Gotcha.
So then we give those to the legal advisor. He triages them and then says, okay, yeah, I'll be there for that case. And then when we have legal questions, is this arrest okay? Should we be doing something different? He reviews that and does training for the entire department.
Well, and I just know too, with having that prosecutor there is more likely to make defense attorneys
Plea bargain. We're
accept
seeing a
pleas,
lot
accept
more
pleas.
plea
Yeah,
bargains.
They don't want to go to trial then, yeah.
No, we're actually, when you see a brand-new officer arguing a DUI, which is very confusing.
Yeah, a defense attorney will take that to trial. also.
Right, roll the dice. So it's a huge, huge, huge benefit. And then we do have building repairs. We got an estimate about 2 or 3 months ago for about $42,000. There was some issues with the flashing. They claim it's from when it was last remodeled. We tried to claim it on the insurance company. Insurance company said, no dice. That's just normal wear and tear or improperly installed. But so we're guessing now, after a couple months, it's probably going to be about a $50,000 price tag. We're hoping to find a little salary savings out of this year's budget to pay for it. So hopefully it won't be in next year's budget, but that could be a big hit that we can take next year too. And it's something that has to be done. The facade is actually pulling away from the building with water damage.
One last thing for me, thank you very much for the way you started off saying you recognize some of the financial constraints that are going on.
Yeah.
And in that you started out with looking at the budget and seeing, where can we kind of tighten up and taking that into consideration of that. That's very much appreciated.
Kudos to the town manager and the finance director too. He keeps track of like our reoccurring costs and stuff like that. And he's says, you got this, you can get rid of this, you can get rid of this. Do we really need this?
Great.
He's averaging out even tire costs. Okay, we're going every other year,
Gotcha.
So it's just a great job really by everybody. We're trying to trim as much as we possibly can.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, anything else, y'all good? Good?
Good. Thanks, Chief.
Okay. So nothing on the miscellaneous section of the agenda. Do I need a motion to adjourn the budget workshop?
Sure.
So moved.
All right, second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, budget workshop, we're 3 minutes over. Did we want to take a quick break or just roll right in, gentlemen?
Roll on.
We're rolling in?
Roll on.
Okay. You let me know when we're back. Okay, and were we live the whole time? We got to get a hand signal or something. Then we got to give me the baseball. Yeah, you got to let me know. Okay, up next, we have our public hearing for May 6th at 6:30 here. We just wrapped up our first budget workshop. Tonight's purpose is, for our public hearing, is 2026-7, an ordinance to authorize the town manager to convey excess real property to facilitate construction of sidewalks within the town described as Beaufort County Tax District 110, map 11, parcel 69, better yet known as 909 8th Street, 37.45 feet of sidewalk. Anyone wish to be heard about the sidewalk? All right. Hearing none, we will close the public hearing. On next to the council workshop. Council workshop. Start off with two really important proclamations. Very first one of the jewels of Port Royal, the Cypress Wetlands. We are announcing 2026 Town of Port Royal Wetlands Week proclamation. I see the friends here looking so good. Would you like to come up, give us a few words, and then tell us what we're proclaiming, how this came about, and then I'll read this and we'll take a picture with everybody. How's that?
Would you mind, Mayor, if I go after?
That sounds fine.
Thank you.
All right, for the record. 2026 Town of Port Royal Wetlands Week Proclamation. Whereas the Friends of the Port Royal Cypress Wetlands, hereafter Friends, is a 501c3 nonprofit organization founded in October 2019 by Pete Richards. And whereas the Friends have a mission to support the Cypress Wetlands and Rookery and increase community awareness through education and advocate for the maintenance of the stormwater retention system as a working organic laboratory. And whereas the Friends support and advocate for the maintenance of the Cypress Wetlands and provide partial funding through grants and donations. And whereas the Friends provide free tours guided by a master naturalist, in-class presentations, and on-site tours to all the schools in Beaufort County. And whereas the Friends appreciate that the staff and council of the town of Port Royal are making improvements to the Paris Avenue for a more pedestrian-friendly environment. And whereas the Friends want to support the businesses in the village of the Port Royal during the reconstruction of Paris Avenue and wish to use its social media presence for further promote and support these businesses. Now therefore, I, Kevin Phillips, Mayor of the town of Port Royal, do hereby recognize May 10th through the 16th, 2026